Hi everybody, it's Linda. Welcome back to Tips for You. Well, today I want to talk to you about your career and finding success in life and finding your passion. And I want to give you some advice, personal-based advice on my life and how I came to find my success. Many of you have asked, and I'm thrilled that you have and that you've sought my advice as a mentor for you. And as someone who's raised two kids who are in their 20s and very successful. My daughter's a CPA. She works for a Fortune 500 company. She has a fantastic job. She loves it. My son is a research analyst. He works for one of the biggest investment companies in the world. He absolutely loves his job. Both my kids are very happy in their career choices. They also have parents who were in the financial world and had followed that path, so we were able to give them tips and tricks along the way to help them. But that wasn't the case for me when I was growing up. I didn't have parents who went to college, and I had to find that path on my own. My dad was a business owner. He was a baker. He owned a bakery business. He made Italian bread of all kinds. It was a family business started by his father when he first came over here from Italy in the turn of the century. So it was the very early 1900s. My father was much older when he had me, so I learned from a lot of generational experience. My mom's much younger. She came here from Germany, and she came on just a study visa. She was going to school here to learn English, and she was a nanny for children, and they met and eventually married. So both my parents have two different backgrounds, but my mother, being an immigrant, has a certain culture behind her, a certain freedom, and a pioneer, and a person who seeks her own destiny. My father, coming from an immigrant family, also carried that as well as a very big responsibility for being the person who took over the business in the family and helped support the family when things were bad. They lived through the Great Depression in 1929, and he had shared a lot of experience with me growing up about that. So my father was a businessman, an entrepreneur, and that takes a certain mindset. So he gave me life tips, he gave me helpful tips about getting an education and working hard, and those are all traits that I have carried through my entire life. No matter what I've done or what I undertake, I always carry those traits with me. I am somebody who sticks with something. I'm extremely dedicated, and I don't give up. So if you have those qualities in you, then you know what I mean, because you'll find a way. I'll share something else about myself with you. If you give me a problem, if a problem comes up in the family or with myself or with anyone, and I do this with my life coaching, that's why I enjoy it so much, I love to find a solution. I don't panic or get upset. My immediate instinct is to get information, and I will read and search until I find the answer. I don't care how long it takes me. And I've been like that since I was a little kid. I will stick with something until I learn it. I remember being probably about 6 years old, and I wanted a bicycle so badly. And I begged my parents for one, and they didn't want to get me one. My father was so worried I would fall and get hurt with it, because he was a big worrier, that he wouldn't get me a bicycle. So I went next door to the neighbor who had a bicycle, and I don't know where she was, but she wasn't home, but they allowed me to use the bicycle. And for one solid day, I rode that bicycle back and forth in their driveway, fell about 1,000 times because it had no training wheels. No one was helping me learn here. Until one moment I got it, and I was able to go a few feet without falling over. And bruised, and I kept picking myself up and trying again, and I would go a little further. By the end of the day, I could ride that bicycle. And I quickly discovered in life that if I stuck with something and stayed committed, just like I did with that day with the bicycle, that I would achieve what I set out to do. Well, now my sister had it easier, because once my parents saw that I could ride this bicycle and I would ride it all the time, I went and borrowed it, and then I brought it into my yard and rode it around my driveway. they got more comfortable with it because they were a bit overprotective. Then they got my sister a bicycle, and they gave her training wheels, and she learned the normal route, but not me. I had to pave the way. I had to carve out my future. And that was my struggle many times over in my life. But I never let that stop me. I found a way around everything, every obstacle, every decision. And in case you're wondering, my parents did eventually buy me that bicycle. I proved myself, and they bought me that bicycle. And this was my first bicycle, a shiny blue Schwinn with a banana seat. So if you're in a rut and you're finding your one viewer wrote me that she loves what she's doing in college and her studies, but she's lacking some passion in the other areas of her life. Well, think about what you love to do and just do it. Challenge yourself. If there are things you feel weak in, areas you feel weak in, that you feel you want you would love to be able to do that. For a lot of people, it's speaking in front of a crowd or public speaking. Get over your fears. Do it. Just do it, because you get the courage from that. And once you see that by just working at something and doing something that you've found success, you build on that. You build on all of those small little obstacles that you overcame. That's what I did. And I truly believe that there is nothing in life that I can't do. Really. Honestly. If I want to. Okay, there are plenty of things in life that I think I could do, but I don't want to do them. I mean, if there was something I wanted to do in life, I truly believe that I can do it. All I have to do is put my mind to it, put the work into it, and it's mine. I just have to find a way to do it. Like I said, I find a way around it. I find a way to do it. Whatever it is. Throw a stone in my way. I will figure out to go away around it or over it or whatever. So as you can see, my first point, and the biggest one, is to stick with something and stay committed. Okay, so whatever it is. But how do you find that thing? And I went through many things that I wanted to do as a kid and as I was growing up. So how do you find that thing that's going to be everything to you, your passion, your success? Well, it's not easy. There's an old adage that says, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. Several studies have found that passion is a critical component of psychological well-being, goal accomplishing, and effective leadership. So here are some tips to help you find your passion, to help you make a career choice. As you answer these questions, make a list. What are you good at? What interested you when you were young? If you take money out of the equation, what would you do? What do you most enjoy doing in your spare time? What causes do you care about? Answering these types of questions can help you identify a career path for yourself, as well as perhaps even a passionate hobby. And once you have your list together, then you're going to need to analyze that list. And here are some things that you should consider. And the first thing you do is decide, can I make a career of that? Is it possible I can make a living on that? Whatever it is that you really loved. Look into it. Look it up. Find out, how much does a person make? And money shouldn't be your only driving force. But let me tell you that you have to be able to support yourself. I had nobody to fall back on. My parents weren't going to say, okay, Linda, if you don't earn anything, that's okay, because we're going to support you. That wasn't the case. They were not going to support me. I paid my way through college. They paid half of it. I had to get loans. I had to pay work. I had to pay the other half of it. My father was retired by the time I was in college, and I felt very guilty taking his retirement money that he saved along the way. He worked very hard. And even though I considered education my right, and it was very important, I didn't want to bankrupt my parents. And I don't think you want to bankrupt your parents either, or yourself. So keep that in mind when you reach out to go to school. College is very important. Getting an education is paramount, but not at the expense of your future. Pick something you can afford, because it's not about where you go. It's about getting the education, and it's about how you use it and apply it that counts. How you network, how you work yourself through all of the problems that you face, what you learn and the experience that you get. That's what matters. So you go to a community college if that's what you can afford. You get loans to go to a school that is within your means, and you make the best of it, and you network, and you find out what's there for you. The first thing you should do is walk into the career office at the college you're interested in and say, okay, if I come here, what are you going to do for me to find a job? What's your career placement like? That was paramount to me. Number one, important. I'm giving you my money, I'm going to learn here at your institution, but when I graduate, I don't want you just saying, bye, thank you. How are you going to help me? What are your connections in the business world? What companies come to your campus? Where am I going to have some help to get that job? And I'll do what I can on my part. Part-time jobs, finding a mentor. That's the next thing I'm going to tell you. Finding a mentor. So once you decide what you want to do, look around for somebody that's doing it, that made a success of themselves. See if you can emulate that. See if you admire that, how their life turned out, what they did for a living. Did it work out for them? What kind of house do they have? What kind of family life? Did it afford them the ability to have the things that they wanted? We've all got different wants and needs. We all have different ideals about how much money we want to earn in life. But finding your passion doesn't always have to be what earns you the money that you need to live. I found something that I thought would give me a really good foundation to have a career. I would always have a job. I wanted security, so I majored in accounting. I wanted to be a teacher. I remembered speaking to my teachers in school about it, and they said, Linda, you know, you're so great at business, because I took business courses. I was very business-minded, and I was always getting part-time jobs working in corporations, and I just loved that. But I wanted to help people. I wanted to teach people. And one of my teachers said to me, why don't you go to school for business? Go for accounting, she said. And why don't you then teach it if you wanted to, but get a degree in that. She said, because you're going to make really good money, and then you can always follow your passion from there. And I thought, you know, that's a really good idea, and I admired her. She was a mentor for me, because again, I didn't have one at home. My parents didn't go to college or were in the business world, so I had to search. And I followed her advice, and I went to college for accounting. And I just want to tell you that if you don't know what to do, you're lost, but you like business, I want to recommend that to you, simply because every business in the world needs accounting and financial work done. You will always have a job. I can always find a job. I can always work at home if I need to. I always thought I could open my own business, something I could do entrepreneurial-wise. I could do it part-time if I wanted to stay home and raise my children, which I ended up doing as well. So it gave me flexibility for the future. I thought the pay scale was great. I thought the directions I could go in looked really good. It could take me where I wanted to go, and I'd have a really good foundation of knowledge. Many companies want you to have an accounting degree, because I thought it's a great place to start. It's one of the hardest majors in business, and I could get a professional certification. I could pass a CPA exam, and I could be a professional person. So I thought that was a good choice for me, and I think it's a good choice for anyone who wants to go into business. It's a great foundation, so I highly recommend it. If you don't like business and you are in the sciences or you're in the arts, something, follow that passion, but figure out how are you going to earn a living doing it. And if it doesn't equate for you to be able to take care of yourself financially and be independent and pay your rent and buy the things that you need to buy, it may not be a good career choice for you, and it will get in the way of you feeling passionate, because you need to feel like you can grow into something and that it'll afford you a lifestyle that you desire. And maybe you can do those other types of things that won't as a hobby. And that's what I did, because I loved so many things. I loved helping people, I loved health, and I loved fitness. So I did those as a hobby. And then I figured, you know, down the road, I'll save my money, I'll work hard, and maybe I can incorporate those things someday into a business for myself. And that was my plan. And then a second thing you want to make sure you do is to make it fun for yourself. So help yourself by having people around you that are also like-minded. One of the best ways to meet people who share your common goals and interests is to join a club, either at school or in your town. And now I'd like to share some specific career advice for women. Ladies, when you pick your career, always keep in mind that by the luck of nature, you're a woman, and as such, someday you might want to have your own children. And if that's something you think you might want someday, factor that into your decision. Because I see many young people select careers that they absolutely love and they're passionate about, and it's wonderful. But you have to think about how much schooling it's going to take you. How old will you be when you come out? How much debt will you have? And how long will it take you to get your career up and running to the point where you want it? Many people put a lot of years into education, and they want to reap some of that benefit out in the world to try to either make back some of the money that they spent on education, or to just in order to attain their goal, their future goal. I see people who go into the medical field. It's a long process to go into the medical field, and when you come out, sometimes you're in your early 30s by the time you're really where you want to be, and it carries a lot of stress with it. So think about that. Think about the rest of your life. You're not all just your career either. There are other things in your life that may be important to you, that make you a well-rounded person, somebody who feels fulfilled. And those things may be you want to get married and have a family, you want to raise children, you may want to do that yourself. It's a lot to have a career and to raise your children yourself. It really is. You can't really see that when you're young. I didn't. I had no idea. My mom wasn't a working mom. She was a home mom. So I didn't have exposure to that. I didn't know what it would take for a woman to juggle all of that. It's a lot of work. You need help. If that's okay with you to have somebody to help you raise your children, then it's great for you. But if you're not that person, factor it into your equation. Think about what you want to do. It takes a bit of planning. Personally, me, I wanted to get out into the work world as fast as I possibly could to start earning money. That was my mindset then. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be a professional. I wanted to have a career. I wanted to make money. I wanted to go as far and as fast as I wanted to go far as fast as I could. And for me, 4 years of college, that was the most I was willing to dedicate to school. I mean, I liked school, but it was a tool for me. It was a stepping stone to get where I wanted to go. It wasn't some place that I wanted to hang and park myself for any extended period of time. That's how I felt then. I put the time in, and I took school seriously. So my father always said to me, get your education. It's the best thing you'll ever do for yourself. And I followed his advice, and those words resonated with me, and I told my children the same thing. Education is so important. I put high value on it in my household with my children. They were both excellent students because I put value on it. They knew it was important. I didn't bother them about it or pressure them or hammer them. I let them understand that they were getting an education to better themselves, that this was something they were doing for themselves. I didn't need to bribe my kids to work hard or to study. They were doing it for their own self-achievement. Okay, they took pride in that, in doing well. And it was just a culture that was the way I was raised, and it sort of came off into my children. And something that you can do too for yourself and for your children someday. Now I'm going to speak to parents as well as kids here when I talk about having what I call skin in the game. That's what I did with my children. I think it works very well. I think you have to be invested in your education to take it seriously. I really do. I think my children had to pay for some of their college. I paid for some of my college. I think if you have some skin in the game, I think you appreciate it. I think you can have a lot of fun in college, but you're there for a reason. And I don't believe in the whole you go to college for an experience, or you go to college to grow up. I think having responsibility causes you to grow up. I think having challenges that you have to overcome yourself helps you grow up. Make the best of what you do. Go there because you care about going there, because you want the education that it affords you, because you care about where you're going to end up after you go to college. And if you can't afford to move out after college and you're graduating right now, then live home for a while. You've got to make some sacrifices. I get that question all the time from young people who want to get out there. You know, they've lived away from home and they've been in college. They don't want to go back home, but they can't afford to live outside of college. And I say, look, if you've got to sacrifice and live home for a while to save money, it is worth it. You need to establish a savings account. You need to put money aside for a rainy day. It's also beneficial so that you can buy things that you really want that are bigger ticket items. You don't want to have to rely on someone else, on your parents supporting you or giving you rent. Maybe you don't want to live with 8 roommates. Well, then bite off only what you can chew and make some really good financial decisions early on. You might have to make some sacrifices early on, but in the future, down the road, you will have your freedom and you'll have your day and your sunshine and you'll have your moment, okay? I promise you that will come, but it takes the dedication and the hard work. But the journey is fun, and stick with it and stay committed and never stop acquiring knowledge, ever. Experience and knowledge, get it wherever you can, and it's like building blocks and to your goal. And guess what? Your goal keeps moving. You'll always be setting new goals for yourself. And that's a great way to be, because you're always challenging yourself. There's always something exciting, something to look forward to. Trust that you will find your path and that you will end up where you need to be. You have to create your own future, and it takes work, but it's real fun work. Try not to burn out. It does take dedication, especially if you have exams that you have to pass. I did. I had that CPA exam I had to pass, and I had to study a lot in college. But I still enjoyed college. I had a lot of fun. I made some great friends, some of which I still have today. But I did my work, and I always got my work done first before I had my fun, something I still do. I will enjoy myself after I've completed my task. And I raise my kids that way too. You know, do your homework before you have your fun. And that way they get it done and it's out of the way, and then you can relax and have a good time because your mind is free. You've accomplished something, and now you can enjoy yourself with a free mind without something hanging over your head. And beware of those people who try to take you off your path. I always stick to who I am. I follow my path, and I am true to myself. I have always been. I try not to let others influence me if I feel that it's detrimental to who I am or what I truly believe. I have a moral compass that I follow. I have my principles, and I stick with them. Here's a quick recap of the points I made in the video to help you find your passion and your path to success. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it was inspiring for you, motivational for you. I hope by my sharing my own experience, which was, a personal experience, that some of it could resonate with you, provide you with some food for thought and how I went about things. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with a friend. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe because I have a lot more to come, something of interest to everyone. And please visit me at my blogspot where I do a lot of writing, and then also on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, so we can stay connected there as well. Okay, well, thanks so much for viewing. Bye-bye now.